And so summertime is approaching, and Mr. Faz Lifts is going to tell us exactly how to get leaner than ever before. So let's get to watching.
I want to give you the culmination of essentially what I've learned over the last 13, 14 years of coaching experience with thousands of clients. So hopefully that will help you structure your cut and give you something to think about.
Now, Mr. Faz Lifts happens to be a coach. However, I'm looking at these transformations and they look great. Now, you thought I was gonna say they look awful, but look at this. This guy went from hairy chests with no abs, and now he has a six-pack and he's lean. Probably 15% body fat. Now, I am a finance major, I'm not a coach, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dermatologist, I'm not any of these things, but I can assure you that I'll give you the facts how they are, and I'll make sure that you got a lean body for this upcoming summer. Let's get straight to it.
If you want to get down to beach lean or contest shape, for example, for a photo shoot or an actual contest, you need to be sure of how much you have to lose, because it's very, very common to underestimate how much body fat you have and overestimate how lean you are.
And so he's bringing up a great point about setting up realistic goals, guys. Now, setting up realistic goals. Are we really setting up realistic goals? Let's be honest with ourselves. Most of us aren't really trying to do as much as we could to get where we want to be. This could be not just applied to fitness, but we could apply this to work, school, anything really you can think of. Now, you're asking me, so what's the solution? Now, I could tell you the solution right now. If you're 190 pounds and you want to get to 150 so you can be ready for the beach, I'll tell you exactly what to do, but you're probably not going to do it. Now, realistic. If you're 190 pounds and you have 90 days to go to the beach, you're not going to the beach, you're trying to be beach ready, then here's the solution. You put the fork down right now, and you're not going to be beach ready this summer, maybe next summer, if you lock in. Now, you're saying, what do you mean lock in? What do you want me to do? I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. You cut down your calories, you find your maintenance, and you eat in a calorie deficit. Guys, there's nothing to it. It's just calories in, calories out. I've been saying this. Get my freaking cookbook that I don't have yet.
So the best thing to do is just to have an experienced eye. Now, as a general rule, this is a very, very broad general rule. What I usually go by, and this is, again, been by experience, and it's not really done me wrong, 20% body fat is actually quite lean.
So he's saying, have an experienced eye, assess your body fat percentage. Now, as you know, the best way is Coach Bola. I am a finance major, not a coach.
I am a fighter. I'm not a fighter. I've never claimed to be a fighter.
You just go ahead and DM me right now, and I'll let you know exactly what body fat percentage you are. As well, DEXA scam and BMI scam are not good ways to measure your body fat percentage. I've went over this many times. Don't do it. You're better off going on the scale every single day and checking your body by that method.
20% body fat is actually quite lean. So 20% is what most people on the street, untrained people, regular average Joe and Jill who don't train, would consider to be a skinny person, a lean person. 20% is a flat stomach.
No, absolutely not. You're not going to see your six-pack with 20% body fat covering it up. That's just unrealistic. Now, guys, for most of us, 15% is where you're gonna start seeing the abs pop out. Now, there is those advantaged people genetically who can have a 17% body fat to 20% body fat and show a six-pack defined. And most of us aren't under that category, but that's like 1% of the population. With that being said, 20% body fat is not necessarily bad. Now, guys, 15 to 20% is the healthy range. You don't have to see your abs. You just want to feel healthy.
Be very sure where you're starting. If you're starting with love handles and visibly what we call in England Dunlap, that is when your belly Dunlapped over your belt, then you are not 20%. You're more like 25, maybe even 30.
So if you're starting with a Dunlap, then you want to have realistic expectations, guys. Remember what we said. Realistic expectation. Calories in, calories out. What you want to do is you want to make sure you're below the maintenance and you have a realistic timeline. Now, those two together is going to lead to you losing the weight faster than ever before. If you're comfortable with what you're eating and it's in a deficit, you're going to have an amazing time losing that weight and keeping it off for the rest of your life. Now, most of us get it mixed up and we crash diet and we do that mistake over and over again, and now I am a victim of this. I've done it many times. I've seen people do it many times. I keep trying to make sure that I spread the message to not do this, but There's only so much I can do, guys. I'm only a student in college, and I'm trying my best to inform the people with what I know.
So, part one, have somebody accurately assess your body fat percentage, an experienced coach, and also I would say an experienced contest prep coach.
So step one is make sure you know your body fat percentage. Okay. Step two is you start a diet. Okay. Step three, you lock in and you don't cheat on your diet. Okay. And you have an amazing time losing weight and keeping it off for the rest of your life. Okay.
Whether you can do it all in one go, whether you're gonna need breaks. Then that affects the next thing, which is the severity of the diet. What most people do is they start a diet far too easy. You know, a lot of guys will underestimate how much body fat they have to lose. So they'll start easy. They go, right, I'll just do a standard approach. I'll drop the weight. I'll be 20 pounds to lose. I'll be done in 10 weeks. Not realizing they've got about 50 pounds to lose to get to where they want to be.
As we know, it all boils down to calories in, calories out. I've been saying this since the start of the video. If you enjoy your diet is a bonus. And then actually sticking to your diet is where it actually matters. It's the top of the pyramid, actually sticking to your diet. Now, he's recommending you go all out at the beginning. I think this is idiotic, as anyone else would. You shouldn't go all out at the beginning. Let me tell you why. Let's say you're doing pre-trick curls, right? Pushing hard, right? No. And then you're going all out on your first set. Do you think you're gonna do well on the second and third set? No. Probably not. Same thing applies here. Yeah. If you're going hard at the beginning of your diet, you're probably gonna crash back down, just like your energy levels on those pre-trick curls. Get it? No. That's what I'm saying.
When you are at your absolute fattest, that is when your body will have the easiest time dropping body fat. Diet fatigue is at the lowest, metabolism is the highest. Your body's ability to liberate body fat and willingness to do that is at its highest.
Now this is right. What he's saying is if you're bigger, you're gonna have an easier time losing weight than someone who's smaller. This makes sense, but let me put it in simple terms. Say you have $100,000 in energy savings, like your bank. Your energy stores are already high, so you're willing to spend more. Your body's willing to spend more calories. Now, it's not the same for the guy who's skinny, who's at $500 in his energy savings bank. He's gonna spend much less because he doesn't have that much to spend. You get it? Energy is stored and it's used when needed. If you have none of that energy, aka fat, then you can't spend much of it because you don't have it.
The next part is how is your training affected by diet? First of all, muscle maintenance requirements are way, way lower than muscle gain. Okay. You all know my general recommendations of muscle gain for intermediates training about twice a week is 8 to 16 sets per body part.
So what do we do in regards to muscle building while we're on a diet? Now I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do. If you're on a diet, you're not gonna have as much energy as you did before the diet started. So therefore, you need to decrease your volume. Okay. Try to go all out as much as you can, but try to decrease the volume so that you're not as fatigued. Okay. Doing 2 to 3 sets is gonna be too much per muscle. So what you wanna do is, for example, you did 6 sets of bicep curls for biceps day. What you want to do is make that 2, exactly like 1/3 of what you used to do. Now, what's this gonna do? This is gonna maintain your muscle rather than build it. When you're losing weight, your body is screaming for help. It needs energy. Now, instead of breaking down your muscle, it's gonna take from your fat stores because you're using these muscles on those 2 hard sets that you're doing in the gym. If you're building muscle while on a diet, you're not gonna build muscle, you're rather gonna maintain what you already had. Now this is good because muscle is good, it's metabolically active, and metabolically active tissue burns calories. Not as much as cardio and your metabolism, but it still burns calories. But with that being said, you need to include exercise. You can't just skip it because you're on a diet.
Practically speaking, I've found 3 or 4 sets per body part per week to be about right for maintenance. Now, the literature does say you can go lower. I believe the literature says you can go as low as about 1 set twice a week. However, I'm talking about practical limits.
Now he's saying 3 to 4 sets per muscle per week. This is not a bad baseline. If you're doing 3 to 4 sets, you're probably doing around what you need to do. And that's gonna be maintaining your muscle rather than building it, like I've been saying. And you're gonna keep that muscle on while losing weight, making you look leaner, even though you're not building any new muscle. You're just gonna lose the fat covering up the existing muscle.
My personal thoughts are you should let the diet take care of the majority of your fat loss. I'm not a huge fan of structured cardio for the purposes of inducing a calorie deficit because it's not that impactful.
No, 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 no. You shouldn't follow this advice. Cardio is essential, guys. You can't just skip over. I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's just how it's been for the past couple decades. Cardio is essential. Just like controlling what you're putting in your mouth, you need to do your cardio. Let's give an example. You're doing 30 minutes of cardio every single day while you're dieting. No. Now, let's say you take this advice and you stop that. What do you think is gonna happen? Yes, you're gonna diet without feeling all that energy loss from the cardio, but you're not gonna lose as much weight. When you're doing cardio and you burn 300 calories on a step meal, for example, not all of that is gained back by NEAT, which is when you fidget less because you're tired. What happens is 150, around half of it, is gained back through decrease of NEAT, but that 150 is not total waste. Like, you're gonna lose more weight from the cardio that you did. If you didn't do the cardio, you wouldn't have lost as much weight. Does it make sense? So that's gonna be it for today's video. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and comment down below what you wanna see next. And I'll leave a link down below if you wanna see his video. I'll see you in the next one.